It's probably started now, even though it's not shown on the YouTube. It probably started.
What
Somebody
is
toss me the
going
link.
on again, folks? I apologize for all this. I'm still feeling some of my way out with it. You can see Phil's over there doing his thing. It is all good. True
Perfect.
Vapor Show 138. Let's get down to it. Take it away, Mark.
Wait a minute. Oh yeah, it's perfect. All right. Um, let's start again. I guess the blade with the drop. Do 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 do. The Espion solo, Mike. Right.
Yes, sir.
There we go. The bird got some looper, got some killer custard lemon, and I think that's it. Take it away, Mr. Michael Vapes.
He's just been dying to do this.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Espion Solo from Droidtech. Boxer DNA 250C Squonker with the iconic RDA. Limelight Gloom with the B2K. Blade by Geek Vape with the engine. Dead Rabbit SQ with the Tony B Squonk mod. Liquid vaping on or I have no clue what I'm vaping. Hold on. Liquids, we got some Sweet Tooth. We have some Naked Lava Flow. Some Tony B's Blue Pucker, which is right over here somewhere. And some acai berry. That's it. Take it away, Mr. Dimitri.
Hey, what's up? Thanks again for having us. It's nice to see that I'm not the only one having technical issues when it comes to broadcast. But very, very simple for me today. The Aries on the Vape Droid, all murdered out, all black and black and black. A little nicotine salt in the Zenith Chroma. A little nicotine salt on the Joytech Ego Echo AIO. And testing out the new Proton from Inikin that's coming out soon. Yep, very, very simple.
Take it away, Phil.
I have. Is it time for me to talk now?
Yep.
What time is it?
Even though
We're
you're,
a half an hour into the show, and I get to say something now. This is awesome.
I'm never getting into this shit.
You know, before I go ahead and tell you what I'm vaping on, everybody was complaining that I got here late. And here is what I was going to. Here's what I was going to say. What I was going to say is, coming on Scott's show is not like doing a show with Dimitri. There's not 15 minutes of dicking around with screenshots, followed by 15 minutes of dicking around with all these buttons and screen settings, followed by 15 minutes of dicking around not being able to get the connection to YouTube, followed by when you do go live, bad camera shots, missing audio, dropped audio. And I was going to say, Scott's got it all together, right? Scott, because I've been on this show before. But nope, Scott fucked it all up too, folks. And, you know, Scott, I mean, he's probably, you know, as he's preparing for the show and as he's going to do the show, there's a lot of stress, right? There's a lot of stress. And now you have the added stress of like trying to get the show on the air. And you know, that's a lot of, and I'm sure like other people would feel bad for Scott. Not me, not now. I am just going to continue to bust his balls throughout this show. So what am I vaping on? Let me tell you what I'm vaping on. I am vaping on this here Berserker MTL RDA. That'll be the next review. I've got it on the Avatar no name Squonk box, and very, very simple. I've got my Chroma kit, my Chroma A from Inikin, and this is the platform kit with my white Zenith on top of it. And liquid, I have this here green peach tea from Delaware Vapor. Thank you very much, Andrew. Loving this stuff. And I also have some of this here bromance, and this would be Dimitri's flavor. In the lovely Dimitri pink wrapper. This is the strawberry malt strawberry malt. That's what it is. Okay, carry on,
Folks, I have just been kicked in the head like I was in a gang fight and just got my ass kicked. So Thank you, Phil, by the way, for that opening. I'm going to let you start hosting this show. So,
yeah, good luck with that.
I'm down to one device. I'm just doing the boxer and the nudge today. That's all I'm going to do. I had stuff, but I'm so frustrated now. I'm not even going to show it. Also, my favorite Boston cream from Hit That Donut, and of course, I got to have my little original drop because Brian loves that right there. So, what is going on, people? I apologize for this. It was I think it was a simple thing that got me messed up. Oh my God. Hold on, where's my gun at so I can just be done with this?
No, don't worry about it. I mean, it happens.
No, I'm looking at Mike Vapes.
Oh, what was that?
I don't know. ST was bragging all this time that he had a limited edition blue jewel. That he's the only one that has one.
Oh.
We've been playing now for past couple of months on this. Mike gets everything. Well, I just happened to get a little limited edition jewel, and I says, Mike, you don't have this right here.
Of course.
So what happens? One of his viewers sends him a damn blue jewel. Now he's got it. So
Yeah, shout out to Michael Shelton. Thank you.
So now I'm completely kicked to the curb. So.
I have a question about Mike Vapes. I really do. So we went through like all of the devices that we're using, and Mike went through his stuff. What does he do? Like when he's walking around the street, is he carrying like a suitcase, like a roller bag of all that stuff? I mean, like how many vapes can one person possibly vape at one time? I don't understand. I mean, it's an ongoing list. It took up like 90% of the introductions from all of us.
I didn't even show everything. I was being respectful.
All right, okay.
It's a Greek thing, man. Variety is the spice of life, Phil.
Not only that, there's a lot of stuff to test, man. A lot of stuff.
I mean, we know you play with yourself, but other people like to play with different toys, you know?
Got it.
So,
Well, we are at that point. We are all about to be in Foxwoods, which I'm stoked about because everybody's going to be there. Me and Mark looked at it last night. I've got a 62.2 mile ride with these two characters from the airport, which Lord knows which way that's going to go with Phil and Dimitris. That is going to be pretty crazy right there. I will be selling the videos to that on Amazon, so check that out right there. But so what's been happening with you two? Y'all staying busy with products or just what's been going on?
go ahead, Phil.
Go ahead, Phil.
Wow, I was kind of shocked too there a little bit.
Go ahead,
Don't worry.
Phil.
Don't worry.
I wanted to get my words in when we did the intro. We're talking about what we vape because I didn't expect to talk for the rest of the show with you here. We actually just had a conference call with Nicotine last night talking about some new stuff that we're going to be doing. We have a lot of stuff on the drawing board, a lot of design documents in. It's just a matter of getting to it and getting it out. But there's more stuff coming.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we can say is there's a 22 millimeter Zenith coming out because a lot of people are asking it to put it on their Picos and stuff like that. And one of the things that, I've seen all you guys' reviews, and we certainly appreciate all the love that you've shown the Zenith kit. I think it's a really good starter kit. But the thing about removing the glass, I think, is something that I'd like to address. And we have to make a determination, when you're trying to design stuff that's easy, because that's the whole point between me and Phil. We're trying to put out products that are easy for people to use, hassle-free, error-free, no gurgling, no spitbacks and stuff like that. So we have to do a trade-off. So because of the mechanism inside that shuts off the juice flow when you fill your tank, because it does it automatically for you, it's very hard to make the glass removable. Well, it's virtually impossible to do it in a 22 millimeter. It'll have to be a very big tank afterwards. It takes it away. So me and Phil decided we might as well not make the glass removable and give the user that error-free, hassle-free vape, right? So that's a trade-off that we decided to go with. And I just wanted to address it because a lot of people say that's a big drawback to the tank. I don't necessarily think it's a drawback. I think it's more of a trade-off of you being able to say, I'm going to fill my tank and it's not going to gurgle or flood, like you get sometimes with Aspire Nautilus too. When you take the cap off and you fill it, you put that cap back on, that pressure pushes the liquid down into the cap. So yeah, we got a 22 millimeter version of the Zenith coming out, and we're really, really excited of that for a lot of people that are doing MTL or that use the Nautilus on smaller devices.
Yeah, another thing is the glass itself is embedded in, so it's kind of hard to break that.
Yeah, it is, and it's protected around. It's with the raised edges. We put a lot of stainless steel around the glass, trying to, and at the end of the day, put a vape ban on it. But I don't want people to think that we're doing it on purpose or it's a negative to the tank. It was just a trade-off. We wanted to make sure that it's easy, and that's one of the trade-offs. And it's $25, $26 tank. You can get it anywhere on there. I mean, if the glass breaks, if you get to that point, most of the stuff that's on the market now is pretty inexpensive for you to replace. But me and Phil really discussed this, and we really went into depth about, okay, do we put a 23 millimeter out that you can remove the glass, make the tank bigger? It's gonna, because you have to make it bigger if you're going to make the mechanism work and also remove the glass. It's going to be a huge tank. Is that what people want, or do they want something that's more stealthy that works and it's more error free? And we came to that determination, right, Phil?
Right, Dimitri.
Well,
See, I'm trying to lead him. I'm trying to lead him in to talk, and he ain't got nothing to say.
Well, no, because you said it so well and so eloquently that I have nothing more to say. You nailed it. I mean, we were going back and forth a lot on what the next tanks were going to be in the Zenith line anyway, and that was the decision. Do we go to something larger that's a 23, that it's kind of an odd size when we know that people are asking for a 22, and we decided. We keep it the way it is. We still do the vape ban. We still protect the glass as much as possible with metal, and we released the 22.
Well, what's perfect about y'all being on, Mark has had Mark's had all kind of issues with his Zenith, haven't you?
I just had leaking issues the very first time with the coil, and I think it was. Well, one time I was vaping it, and I didn't realize I had the juice flow control open, or the fill port open.
Yeah, well, that'll do it.
And I'm like, oh, shit, that's why it's leaking.
Fantastic.
No.
That's what years of experience of reviewing will get you.
I remember a show where Dimitri was demoing that tank. And he's like, look, it doesn't leak at all. And he turns it upside down, and all the liquid pours out of it completely because he forgot to close the top cap.
I did. That was actually in a vape shop with like 100 people around. Yes. It was pretty embarrassing. But there's two. This has happened to Ruby Roo as well too.
Yeah.
So
it happened to me. It happened to me the other day.
So I think that you got to make sure that coil is in there seated properly. You got to make sure that the juice flow is adjusted. And listen, duds happen as well too. I mean, how this stuff from China comes out. I think Daily Vape TV had an issue with his first coil, but after that he's been using it every day, and he says he hasn't had any problems with it. So yeah,
it's bizarre because and I just told Dimitri this the other day. So the red one, I opened up the red one, brand new, right? And I filled it up, and it was fine. I used it. I come back to it the next day, and the liquid's gone, right? So like what? I took it all apart, cleaned it, put it all back together, filled it up with liquid, and it's actually been sitting here on the stand for about 4 days now, this one, and it's not leaking at all. So I think it might have something to do with the seating of the O-rings, and when they put it together at the factory, maybe there's something that's not completely right, and just the act of you taking it apart and putting it back together is solving the problem, because it sounds like it worked somewhat for you, Mike, and it sounds like it worked somewhat for Ruby, because she had that initial experience too, and then she pulled it apart, put it back together, and it was fine. So yeah, believe me, that's frustrating to us. All the issues are frustrating to us, but when you hear these issues, you got to figure out where is the problem. Is it a problem that's reproducible? Is it a problem that is recreatable? Is it a problem that we can address? Is it a problem that we can fix? And believe me, we take, we got a lot of people coming to us, a lot of good, great comments, and there are the occasional people that are having issues, and we try to listen to that stuff. We feed it back to Inikin. We'll work with the, the person who's having the issues, and we try to get it resolved.
So would you advise to pull the coil out when you get it and then put it back in rather than just filling it up straight out of the box?
You should be doing that anyway, because you should be priming the coil.
See, now, I primed the coil. When I first got it, I primed it, and I thought maybe that's why I had the leaking issue. So the second one I didn't prime, and I let it sit for probably like 20 minutes or so, and it was perfect. So I don't know if it was just because I didn't reseat it when I first got it, or if it was because I was priming it first.
Yeah,
so.
I think it needs to be primed. It works so much better. Plus, you lube that the coil as well too, because what the action inside is when you turn that cap, and I think it's something that a few reviewers have missed, is that when you turn that cap, there is the shaft inside actually turns to shut off the juice flow. So if it's completely dry, there is a possibility it's catching the coil as you're turning it, and it's actually leaving the juice flow open. So that's maybe why you're getting some leaking. And I think that by lubing, priming the coil, and then it actually lubes it going in, it makes that action inside more smooth. So, it's one of these things, damn if you do, damn if you don't. But, overall, what we're trying to find is, what works best for everybody. And I think priming the coil initially is recommended, right, Phil?
Yeah, but you said lube like 4 times in that last segment, and you also said shaft.
Somebody in the chat said that I look like I'm coming off a 2-week meth bender. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Wow.
Do I look like that, really? You haven't seen me? I've lost weight like a year ago. What the hell?
My question is, how did they know?
I don't know. I really don't.
Oh, goodness. Well, again, like I opened up and said, we're all going to be in Foxwoods. Y'all actually have a role to play in Foxwoods, don't you? Y'all are going to be speaking to the crowds.
I don't really know exactly what Mike has set up, but I'm sure there's going to be some kind of maybe if there's an advocacy session or something like that. Yeah, absolutely, we'll participate.
I know this. I'm sorry, Phil. I know this when I clicked on the NVE website. The first thing that pops up is a picture of Phil. It's like not about the event, not about anything. It's just a big picture of Phil standing there. So
It's horrible.
I'm wondering how does all that happen? I kind of thought you would show the event a little bit before you'd show some of the people that are going to be there.
I have absolutely nothing to do with that. No, I mean it should absolutely. Fuck you, Scott. It should absolutely be about the about the event and not the people that are going there. Actually, what it should be is about tobacco harm reduction. And I've talked with Mike numerous times about this. I said, I really hope that you have a beginner's area, a place where people can come and buy starters kits, a place where people can come and get educated about what they see in the room. And I've told him, you have an entire casino full of degenerate gambling smokers that you should be taking advantage of, right? You need to figure out a way to take advantage of that. Whether it be somebody going out and getting a smoker to come in and that smoker, they want to crush their pack and they get a free kit, and the person who brings the smoker in maybe gets a discount on a product or something like that. Something to entice the fact that you have all of those smokers out there and you have an event that could potentially help them and make them live longer, So I really hope that he takes advantage of that.
I think we're missing the bit. Again, sometimes me and Phil sound repetitive and like, oh, why you keep talking about this and the smokers and all that. But I mean, here's great opportunity. Foxwoods has a lot of smokers, man. We can get in there and now look, you're gonna have all you guys over there and a bunch of other reviewers as well. Who's best? Who's best to like grab these people and bring them in? Just sit them down at a table for 15 minutes. Give them a general idea of what vaping is, and then everybody just grab a couple of people and personalize. I mean, look, we can change 10, 15, 20 smokers in Connecticut. I think it'd be fantastic. And it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, because there'll be a shit ton of them in there. Which it seems like any casino you go into, you'll see a bunch.
I get it. But I get it. At the end of the day, it's a show. Everybody wants to show up the latest and the greatest and the liquids and this and all. I mean, I get that part of it. I really do. But it's really discouraging. It's one of the reasons why we don't do a lot of shows in the United States anymore. Most of the stuff that we do is international because it's gotten to the point where here we're not going back to the basics at all. None of the last shows I've been here in the United States. I mean, Mike, we've been together. You've seen how it is. It's just not an atmosphere to bring smokers in anymore.
It would be cool to do something like sponsor a smoker where somebody spends like a half hour with the person at the expo and kind of shows them around and teaches them about vaping kind of one-on-one.
Yeah.
Pretty fun to do.
That's what we discussed on the smoker show is since we're getting a lot of vapors that are coming to the show as well too. And we have the opportunity now with Inikin and Joytech and Five Ponds and a couple other companies that are sponsoring our show is create a bundle, right? Like a starter kit with coils and liquids and everything that somebody can use for 2 weeks. And send it to a vapor that can actually give it to a smoker. And let's walk through that process for a couple of weeks and then bring them back on the show. Maybe they call in and give us their experience on it so we can get more feedback of what's working for smokers and what's not working for smokers. And I think that we can do that live as well, too, when we're out there. I mean, look, we got tons of shit. We got tons of equipment that we can pass out. And I'm sure the companies would be more than happy to give some liquid to get people started.
Hey, has anybody noticed that Mark has hidden his dildo with a microphone that looks like a dildo? Did you notice that? Like like if you go to Mark's camera, it's yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Phil is obsessed with that dildo.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
No, I'm not obsessed with it. I mean, it's just there, and it's odd. It's odd that he has all of these devices and then a dildo.
Well, not Mike. Mark, what is the name for your mic again?
Black
Oh, my
Keith.
God.
There we go.
Yes, he's got names for everything.
If
Thanks.
you come across another one of those, can you please send it to me so I can send it to Dimitri?
Why do I got to send it to you first?
he wants it first.
No, because I want to label the box something funny.
He wants to put his own personalized stuff on it.
His DNA.
Now everybody's going to be focused on that. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
So, yes, I am stoked about this trip coming up.
I wanted to talk about something.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, something about what they were saying. I think that for the convention, NVE, I think what you said about Mike, well, when you said Mike earlier, Mike is the guy that runs the NVE convention in Foxwoods. What he should have done was, I know he has his own vape shop in Long Island. From what I hear.
Yes, he does.
He should have had his own booth there that was set up and had somebody there, a few people for beginners. He should have had that set up already, a booth, and then had maybe people inside the casino walking around or right at the entrance so that people could see, well, banners or something. You want to quit smoking, enter this way.
Yeah.
You know, for just the direct traffic for smokers, maybe.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, anything like that, in that position with that kind of show being sold out, getting as large as it is at this point, all it is a phone call. Hey, Joytech. Hey, Anakin. Hey, Soren. Hey, whoever, running this show. I'll give you a little bit of publicity. Can you send me, 100 kits, 1,000 kits to give away to smokers? And I'm sure that they would be more than willing to do it.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think we don't see a lot of that at the Vape Expos? A lot of like beginner starter setups or like, sponsor a smoker or any of that.
I can tell you why I think is because nobody's inviting smokers to be in there, so there's no reason to have it. You got to understand that these shows have turned into really something that a smoker can't relate to. I mean, we get it. We get the models and we get the clouds and we get, the elaborate advertising, if you want to call it that. We understand it, but a smoker does not. So the atmosphere is not comfortable for them to come in unless, you're in a specific age group where you can, relate to that. So if somebody that's 50 years old to come into a show like that, they're going to freak out. They're just going to go back. It's just way too overwhelming. So I think that, you guys have been to the shows in the earlier days when we used to do in the hotels and we used to have, these little 4x8 tables, and it was just more personal. The tables were in the middle. Everybody would sit down. It was more easier to help people than this chaos of a show that is now. So yeah, it's just not inviting, I think, to smoke. It's very hard to bring people in there and explain tobacco harm reduction in an atmosphere that's geared towards marketing 101.
It's funny you say that because for all the events I've been to, I guess because I have been vaping for so long, I don't think about starter kits being at an event or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But if you typically look at other events, non-vape related, like hobby shows or whatever, there's always that beginner's class type stuff into advance. And really, I'm sitting here trying to think about it. When I walk around, I don't see starter kits or anything sitting at people's booths or anything like that. It's just kind of like all upper end and yeah, it's
liquid really at the end of the day. There's not even liquid for smokers there. I mean, you're not going to find anything over 3 milligram at these shows anymore.
Yeah.
I guarantee you if you go, we'll be there this weekend, go walk around and tell me how many 6 milligram liquids you're going to find. Forget 12. I don't think there's even going to be a 12 there at all. But even 6 now, you don't even find 6 of these events. So really, it's not the setting for the smokers. And I'm not saying that to down these shows or the vendors that are there. They got to make money. I mean, you're spending a lot of money to be at the show, to get a booth and all that. So you're trying to get a return on your investment. So you're going to market the stuff that you want to sell. I get that point. But at the end of the day, if we create an atmosphere that can bring more smokers inside, even those guys that are selling the 3 milligram are going to make more business eventually. Because if you get somebody to quit and then they're going to move on to a bigger equipment, they're going to want that liquid. It just benefits everybody. But I think we forgot about that. We forgot about what do we do to get these people in. Even within the show at NVE, rent a smaller ballroom. I mean, if you're paying $50,000 for this event, you can spend another $5,000 to get a smaller ballroom that's maybe attached or very close to where your main ballroom is, and have that to be your introduction National Vape Expo, right? So you have some booths inside there with starter kits, maybe some pod systems. Even those guys, you market to sell the booths in that room that you're going to bring smokers to them, and then just go out to the event. Even go to the casino. Have the casino do some kind of promotion, do some kind of trade-off deal, like, hey, invite your guests or send something out to your guests that this room exists where you can go down and find out more about smoking. There's ideas to do it. It's just that you have to step up and say, I'm going to do it.
I think there's even I mean, you could even put flyers in the rooms, or something when the guests come in and get a room key, some information. Hey, you're a smoker, this is what's going on. And that room that Dimitri talked about, so maybe that's not a very well-traveled room. Maybe that room only gets 1 to 5% traffic. Yeah, but the idea of that room is to convert smokers, right? So even if it's 1 to 5% traffic, if we can gain 10 new converts, okay? So we've done two things. We've potentially saved 10 lives, which is, I think, the most important thing. But we've also gained 10 new customers, right? Because as much as we don't want to, this industry kind of shies away from the 50-something-year-old that's smoking. That's still a potential customer that we can have, right? And the more our customers grow, the more it's going to be very, very difficult to shut this whole thing down.
I have to say though, I kind of agree and disagree. You guys are gonna see that at the event there will be higher nicotine level liquids, and there will be a lot of easy devices to use. You're going to see lots of pod systems.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely going to see Nick salts too. So there's
I'm not talking about nicotine salt. I'm just talking about regular freebase nicotine.
Right. But there will be like all those things. That's going to be like a big thing in their pod systems. You're going to see it. Watch. Everybody's going to have them there.
Yeah. Well, I get it. There'll be pod systems, but again, it's going to be in an atmosphere where you're going to have to navigate through these clouds and these milk commercials and these boobs and all. You have to navigate through all that to find that. Again, for us, we get it, but the truth is that a lot of these events just turn into a party. Even vape shop owners don't want to go to events anymore because all it is liquid, right? So there's really no hardware there for them to try out new kits and stuff like that to bring into their shops. And everybody and their mom is a distributor now. So for them to get liquid is so easy. I'm sure they get 50 to 100 emails a day from distribution companies telling them this is the hottest and the greatest, or this liquid is fire. You need to bring it to your shop. So even vape shop owners don't go to these events like they used to. Used to go and make purchases and see the new products. They don't even go. So it's basically our community getting together, having a good time, and doing some promotion for products, which is fine. If that's the goal of it, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that it's very hard to draw those people in that we're looking to convert.
I had a question for Phil's not there, but kind of change the topic.
He just got up and left. I mean, it's unbelievable.
He's done with this. Oh, there goes Mike. So I guess
you can go ahead and ask it. I'll explain my situation in a little bit.
You and Phil, you guys don't use Nick salts, right?
I do on small pod systems. I use a 20 milligram Nick. Actually, I use Silk Nick out of Canada, which I love that name because I hate the term salt Nick. I hate it. So I use this. See if I
just wanted to know your guys' opinion on Nick salts.
Yeah, I use this 20 milligram Nick salt when I'm using the Soren Air or the pod systems or something like that. When I'm looking for satisfaction, even the little Joytech Ego, this refillable one, this works really, really good with Nick salts as well too. Yep. I use it for that. I use it for when I need to satisfy myself and just take 2 or 3 puffs and get my nicotine plasma up where I need it to be. Am I a fan of it? I mean, there's a place in the market for it. I'm not a fan of a 60 ml bottle with Nick salt in it. I'll tell you that right now. And we're seeing that more and more. I just got it in the mail. 60 ml bottle of 18 milligram Nick salt. Well, I don't get it. I just don't like that. I think it's dangerous. I like salts in pod systems. That's what I like. I think it has a place into the market. It can help smokers. It can satisfy us as well too when we're looking for that extra oomph, when it comes to nicotine delivery. I just don't like this like wide open 60 mil, 100 mil bottles of nicotine salts being out there that could potentially cause an issue.
Yeah, because a lot of these juice companies I've noticed lately, they're all coming out with the Nick salt version of their juices.
Yeah, and they're all illegal, by the way. I mean, they're all post-August 8th 2016 product, but I mean, it is what it is.
Bill, do you enjoy Nick salts?
I used Nick salts in the eco review, right? Because I kind of agree with Dimitri. They have their place. They have their purpose. If they're helping somebody quit, transition, well, that's terrific. I think they're best for low power devices. I mean, I think that's kind of what they're designed for. But if you get that 60 ml bottle of 40%, what's somebody going to do with that? Well, what's the purpose of that? Is that 60 ml bottle going to go into, that? Maybe. But my fear is that 60 ml bottle goes into somebody's dripper and they're just using it to get a head rush or a buzz. And I don't think that's that's the purpose behind the liquid. But unfortunately, that's what we hear more and more, that, that's why people are using these, because of the buzz, because of the Nick rush.
Yeah.
And that scares me, and that could, that could be potentially dangerous.
But you guys know, I mean, you guys have been vaping long enough to know that if you put 12 milligram regular nicotine or even 18 milligram in the correct device, it's satisfying. It really is.
I'm vaping right now. I have the new smoke pod system.
Yeah.
Infinix. This is a real nice device. The pod itself, the hit that you get off it, the way the airflow is, perfect. And I'm using 19.5 milligram nicotine.
Just regular nicotine. Yeah.
And it is just awesome.
That's what I'm telling you. I think if we have the right equipment, that's one of the reasons why we put the Zenith out. Like, yeah, it works with salts with a 1.6 ohm. It's no issue. You can work it with salts at 10 watts. It's really, really satisfying. But we believe that there's still 12 to 18 milligram, because there's more variety of flavors in free-base nicotine than there is in salts, number one. And number two, you can get a good ratio of 50-50, which gives you a really good flavor and throat hit, right? So 12 to 18 milligram range liquids are good if you have the right delivery system. Yeah. So if you take the 12 milligram regular nicotine and you put it in the Soren Air, it's not going to be as satisfying, obviously, because of the way that the atomizer vaporizes the liquid.
Well, what I find interesting is when I'm using a pod system or a low wattage device, is I'm actually more satisfied with either an 18 or a 24 free-base nicotine than I am with even like a 50 salt nicotine. And the reason being is because of how I vape and what I enjoy from my vape. I like the harshness. I like the throat hit, right? So I get my higher nicotine and I get my sensation by using a free base, where if I use a salt, I might not get that throat hit and that harshness that I like, right? So I think it all depends on what you like too.
See, that was going to be my next question, and it was really because I know how these guys are, but for like Phil and Dimitri, in a pod system, do you prefer a Nick salt over a high nicotine juice in a pod system, or is it just vary with each juice?
For me, if it's a small pod system that's refillable, I prefer salt Nick. It just my regular 12 milligram just does not satisfy me. So I prefer a salt Nick in a refillable pod system. Yeah, so far from the pod systems that are out there now.
For me, like a device like this, it's either like a 12 milligram just doesn't do it for me. Well, a 12 milligram barely does it for me. Okay, so if you're using this all day long at a 12 milligram, maybe I'll get through the day. But when I pick this up and I vape it and I go, well, that tells me something. That tells me that this got me through the day, but it didn't really do it for me. So here I either have to be, or the refillable pods, I have to be either at like a 50 salt Nick or a 40 salt Nick, or 12 is not going to do it, or an 18 or a 24, just like I said. and then I'm satisfied.
Also, keep in mind the use of the pod systems, because I think again we kind of veered off. Like the pod system is not designed to be vaped like we vape our regular equipment. So I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people are making. You're picking up a pod system that has 24, 30, 50 milligram nic salt inside. You can't vape it like we vape our Cleto tank, right? It's designed to be picked up, take 2 or 3 puffs, get your nicotine, and then set down. Just basically use it like a cigarette. Use it 20 times a day, for 5-6 puffs, right? That was designed to be used. So when we're shifting back or trying to give it to a person, we can't tell them like we do with our regular equipment. If you use it, what I said to somebody when they start vaping is like, you feel the need to vape, just pick it up and start puffing away. There's no end to it. As long as you're satisfied, just keep puffing. But you can't do that with a nic salt pod. You need to give it to them and say, this is the way to use it, just like a cigarette. Pick it up, take 4 or 5 puffs, 6 puffs, and then put it in your pocket and let it sit for 30 minutes.
We got a quick donation in here from Nabil Nawab. Mark, you'd love that name.
I've seen that.
Question is, do you guys know if the 1.6 ohm Nautilus bottom vertical coils have a smaller airflow intake than the 0.7 ohm ones? Looking for a mount-to-lung salt setup for my billet box.
I do not know the answer to that question.
The 1.6 does have a slightly smaller airflow than the 0.7 ohm. Yes, on the Nautilus coils. Yes, absolutely.
There you go.
I mean, if you're looking for a good, satisfying billet box vape, the Nautilus 1.6 BBC with the bridge or whatever that's called, it's a really good vape. I would really recommend that versus the 0.7.
Another thing too, I know a lot of people here have started saying, wow, man, y'all are talking about pods so much and this and that. Well, I think a reason why we discuss this a lot now, because even though we show you a lot of devices like this, which an advanced vapor will use, we're still trying to reach out to the new people, trying to get them off cigarettes. And something like this right here is perfect to get a smoker off cigarettes and get him into vaping. So if you're tired of hearing it, I'm sorry, but we're going to keep preaching it because we want folks off cigarettes. So,
and it's more approachable, Scott. It's less intimidating. Something like this, to a smoker, well, it's smaller, right? It's smaller. It looks more like maybe I can deal with that. But as a smoker, when I see something like this, I'm like, what is that? I don't want to hold that. I don't want to carry that thing around.
Exactly.
It even kind of goes along with how I started reviewing and how I progressed with reviewing, because I remember saying that I don't want to walk around looking like I'm holding a science experiment. I remember saying that, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm walking around looking like I'm holding something that looks like a science experiment. So I think when you get started, maybe some people are going to be looking for something smaller, more attractive, more approachable. People aren't going to look at them and say, what the fuck are you doing, right?
Exactly.
And then once they get comfortable with it, and once they're proud to say, hey, you know what, I'm a vapor, maybe they move into something else. But I mean, there's always going to be a market for something like that, the same way there's always going to be a market for something like that, right?
Sure.
So true, because this is something that's good where a person won't get intimidated that might pick up vaping. And then the whole point is to make them fall in love with vaping, to say, wow, this worked.
Yeah.
And that's where they'll then maybe research it more, maybe they'll Google stuff, vaping, go on YouTube, and they see other products, and that's gonna, maybe then they'll want to use something like this, for example, a box. They won't feel intimidated because they like, wow, this works. This is good.
I think I just said all that already, though.
Last night on the show, somebody made a really, really good comment on Smoke Free Radio last night. Somebody said that vaping works when it's perfect, and I totally agree with that. But to get to that perfection, there's work involved. There's fiddling involved to get to that perfection of vape. So we got to get people in the door and then try to get them to perfect the way that they're vaping. Once you perfect vape, there's no way you're going to go back to cigarettes, in my opinion. Once you find that perfection, you're done. You're done with cigarettes completely. I think a lot of people have bad experiences at the beginning, hence why me and Phil started the Smoker Show to get that real-time feedback of what happened with each kit that we send out, trying different, systems and ways to get people started. So, oh, you had a problem, it leaked, it burnt, it didn't work. What is it that caused you not to have that perfect vape? And then maybe we can become better in trying to convert people. I do want to address one question that I saw in the chat that asked, I'm not sure who it was, but they asked if pod systems will be that the FDA will be more understanding to them. You have more chances of passing a PMTA with a pod system when you have zero chances of passing an open vapor as it stands right now. Okay. So it's not that they're going to be more understanding. It's just that the way that the system is designed for you to apply for it, a pod system has a better chance of making it through. Not 100%, but a better chance than what's the 0% chance of an open vapor pod.
And can I expand on that, Dimitri? When you say that, you're probably talking more about a closed pod system,
yes, closed
or
pod.
Open pod system, right?
Yeah.
Because the system can be tested end to end, right? Because the battery system, the wicking system, the heating system, the liquid that's being used, that entire closed system, there are no variables, right? This is what you're testing. So as soon as you open that pod up, well, now there's a ton of variables, right? As soon as you can build your own coil, well, now there's a ton of variables. And it's those variables that are going to be really, really hard to get through the PMTA, the way I understand it.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, too, I was sitting there thinking a little bit what we were talking about. I know we've always mentioned it in the past how a new smoker can walk into a vape shop and be somewhat intimidated by all the products that are in a shop. But within the past week and a half, we've got a bunch of shops close to us, and I went to one that I haven't been in a while. Now, for me, it's awesome because they're completely stocked down with all the up-to-date stuff, and it's like, oh, wow, this is great, seeing this. But then I also sat here and thought, man, if I just walked in off the street, even if I've got somebody knowledgeable in there that I would trust to say he's going to steer me in the right direction of what to get, if I'm just sitting here scoping the building and looking around to see all the stuff in there, I would be literally overwhelmed to think, well, why aren't you showing me this? Why aren't you showing me that? Why is there so many different products here? And I can understand now from almost 5 years ago when I walked into a shop and there wasn't near that much stuff in there, near the options we have now. It's got to be very overwhelming for a new smoker to walk into a shop now to try and quit. So
most of the vape shops by me, or at least most of the ones I went into, they're like sectioned off. Like one case will be like starter kits, lower watt devices, and then as you move on, they got rebuildables in another case. So it's a little bit easier to point the newer vapor to, this case is what you want to look at right here for the beginner vapor.
Yeah. And that's why it is so important to have, and I always call it the guy behind the counter, right? That's why it's so important to have that guy behind the counter approach that user and say, calm down, relax. We'll go through this. We'll talk about it. We'll show you different experiences. We'll show you what this all of this stuff does, and work with that customer to correctly identify what is the correct device for them. That guy behind the counter is so important.
Definitely. Go ahead.
Go ahead. If you want to continue, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to mention the whole Tony B Vupu thing because it seems like the information has been released. I see people in chat commenting about it.
Are we 100% sure?
That makes the show really good than drama, boy. I tell you that.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch of people mention it, so he must have said something on Instagram or something.
Yeah, he posted on Instagram about Vupu with a big X basically over their name, boycotting them. They kind of screwed over Tony B. So
you want to explain what happened?
You know what? It's not my place to talk about it. Tony's gonna do a video today, so everybody be patient.
Yes.
Tony B will do.
The only thing I can say is what he's put on Facebook. I mean, you can say what he put on Facebook, and that is that Vupu. He was really adamant about putting the gene chip inside because this is what he says on this is public knowledge. So he was really adamant about putting the gene chip inside his regulated squonker, and everything was going well until last minute Vupu pulled the plug on it, and they're releasing their own device. So we'll wait and see what the actual details of that's going to be. He's going to do a video, but sounds like he got screwed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not surprising, guys. This happens all the time, whether it becomes public or not. Trust me, China is just that way. I mean, China will screw their own mother to put out a product. I mean, it's just that's the way it is. It's unfortunate that it's happening to people like Tony and people that have been in this community, but it's happened to other people as well too. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's happened to me and Phil. We had a private conversation in China last year about something, and then we saw it in a device, and we were really pissed about it. But hey, what are you gonna do?
No, we're up to 3 things now, Dean. Yeah, 3.
So it happens all the time. Trust me. You think that you're having a conversation on something, and the next thing you know, it goes on the market, and it is what it is.
Well, and I know for a fact because I've hung around some folks that have product out there that there's a lot of shit that goes on with this that people will never see, never know, and it's crazy. And I can understand the added stress of things.
Ain't that the truth?
Let me just let you in like a little insider. It's not really a secret, but it's something that I can talk about. Is that these big manufacturers we're talking about, Smoke, Aspire, Inikin, all these big companies, they have 1,500 people, 2,000 people staff, right? In their engineering department, they might have 20, 30, 40 people working just in the engineering department. So what happens is a lot of these smaller factories that have opened up, the smaller brands, is usually a person that worked in the engineering department of a big company. It's happened a lot in the last 10 years in China, a lot. So if, let's say, company A was working on a big project, that person might have left. It's very, very easy to start a company in China, get 10 employees, and you start making a project that the big company was talking about, and then you release it into the market. And there's really nothing that you can do. So keep that in mind, that a lot of these smaller companies is usually people that worked at big companies, and they might have taken some of the ideas or some of the stuff that was being discussed, because a big company is very hard for them to release product versus a smaller company, right? Smaller company can just let's just get it out, and put it in there, zero quality control, we'll put it out there on the market. But a big company that has a lot to lose, it takes them longer to release a product. So the smaller companies have a little bit of an advantage, and it's dirty business, but it happens all the time.
Yeah, but there's a key thing about this is that you're screwing with a vape reviewer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah.
As a company, you don't do that, because that's the one thing. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm with Tony. I'm boycotting Vupu. I'm not reviewing anything from them again.
Yeah.
Because you don't screw with the reviewer. That's the way it goes.
I agree with you. I mean, we all should put our support behind Tony, but are we really that powerful? Because, this is an international industry. I mean, there's still product all over the planet. Plus, there's a lot of people that are in this industry, vape shop owners, that didn't even know that YouTube exists.
Right.
I mean, really. I mean, it really is. And it's kind of like us saying we're going to boycott chicken fillet. Is it really? Is
right.
it really?
A lot of the hobbyists will probably boycott them, but the average person who never goes online probably
Absolutely right.
slightest clue.
Right, but that you can't do nothing. But at least you're going to put some dent in their company for doing that.
I'm hoping.
Trust me, they don't want. The company does not want this to happen.
Yeah. Sometimes in this industry, Mike, even bad publicity is really good publicity.
Yeah.
Some of these people, unfortunately, it's just that we thrive on that that drama that goes on.
There have been a couple other reviewers that have had some issues with companies in the past, and they've come to my attention. I kind of look at the situation and then say, well, that company's absolutely wrong. I could think of at least 3 different reviewers where I completely backed them. But see, I don't do the drama thing. I won't create a video and say, oh, well, this company did this to this person and you should. No, I just back off and I just don't look at the product. And if anything, what I would do is in an email to that company, when they approach me, I'll tell them I'm not going to review your product, and this is why, right? I keep the drama off the streets and in the sheets, if you will.
Yeah, I've seen that with Phil as well, too, in private conversations, where he sent an email back to a company that I was attached to that said, thank you very much, but when we saw this Instagram post that you made with kids or whatever, just an example, and I don't want to support your product. And I think that's a little bit even more powerful than just doing it public.
Yeah, and just recently I received a request to do a review, and they had the device, right? And they had the device angled a certain way, and they had the outline of a gun over the device, right? I'm like, what?
was kind of shocked by that.
Oh, you saw it too, right?
No, I didn't see it, but just you describing it sounds fucking crazy.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, with everything that's going on with gun violence and all the, the schools walking out today, I'm like, why would you even associate the two? Well, because it's the pistol grip, it's shaped like a gun, and I'm like, no, just don't do it. So and I told them, no, I'm not going to look at this because of this reason. Now, recently, I just did the wall crawler, okay, and I had a couple people email me and say, you shouldn't have looked at that one. It's superhero centric, right? But that one was a little bit different. I did that review for a couple of reasons, because number one, I can voice my opinion at the beginning of the review saying, you just shouldn't be doing it. You just shouldn't be doing it. That was number one. Number two, I thought it skirted the edge a little bit, right? So they didn't call it the web crawler. They called it the wall crawler. They didn't call it the Spidey. They called it the wall crawler. Okay. Plus, it was a very, very new company. And I thought, based on the information that I gave in the review, they could potentially move away from that, and maybe they could potentially make a better product for the market. So that's kind of one of the reasons why, or a couple of the reasons why I took on that video.
Yeah, I got some products in that I was showing Dimitris earlier.
Yeah. I thought that was your mod, by the way. I was like, good
I was
job.
messing with you. I'm like, look at my new mod.
Is that this mod, Mike, or no?
Yep, that's
Look
it.
at the one
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike,
And it sucks because it could be a really good device, but
Yeah.
man, I swear, I mean, what the hell we're going here for? It's just
I tell you something else that's been happening to me recently. This is on a pod device. I'm not going to mention the name of it, but so I got a request to review it, and then I got a request to review it, and then I got 7 emails from 7 different people within the company to review this device. And I'm like, guys, I already responded to you. You need to be a little bit more coordinated. I mean, you're just flooding my inbox with requests to do this review. So then I expressed a little bit of interest in it. And this is what I got. I got, when will the review come out? Can you keep the review under 10 minutes? Will it be a good review? Finally, I'm like, I'm not reviewing your product. You are not going to dictate to me when this review is going to come out. You're not going to dictate to me how long the review is going to be. And even though, we want it to be a good review, that could mean either you want it to be a solid, well done, complete review, or that could mean, well, we want just good reviews, right? We don't want anything negative spoken about the product. So, when I start getting stuff like that, I'm just not going to look at your product. I'm not going to look at your product.
If there's one thing I've noticed over the past maybe like 6 months with a lot of reviewers reviewing shit like right away, I've noticed companies, the first thing they ask you is, how soon can you have the video done? They want shit done within a week now. Before, there was never a timeline. Now they want shit done 3 days, 5 days.
Well,
that's why Mike. That's why Mike gets every product that comes out, and I only get a handful of them. That's why.
It's funny.
Mike does the review while the product's in the DHL boat coming from China. He's already got the review out.
I wait at least 1 week. I tell everybody I need to use it for at least 1 week before I do a video.
Well, like Phil was talking
A
about.
pod system though, I don't know, you really need a week. But
Me and Mark just got this in, I think it was yesterday, in an email. Now, this is from a juice company. A juice company wanted us, from the UK, wanted us to fill out a full survey about basically our channel, what we've been doing with it, numbers, yada, yada, just for them to send over some juice for review. And I'm like, hell no. If you want me to review something, send it. If not, don't worry about it. I'm not filling out some survey just to show you, because basically that's your homework. You need to look at the channel and see if this channel is what you want your product on. It's not about me, doing your work.
I think that they want to do is maybe use that as a marketing tool as well too. So you think maybe they're trying, but I think what they're going to say is like, oh, we only select few because those are the worthy ones of to review our product as well too. It's fucking bullshit. I mean, just look, the great thing about this industry is that we do have YouTube, and it's the #1 medium for them to project the product. Period. That's it. This is it. There's really nothing else. Instagram and YouTube, right? But the bad thing is that there's only YouTube and Instagram as well too. So that's a trade-off that you get. So I love the camaraderie between the reviewers. I love that everybody's kind of on the same wavelength. But the truth is that there's people out there that take advantage of that, and then the Chinese companies feel like everybody falls under that same category because you have people out there that are doing it. So, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yep. Well, now I heard you mention last night on your podcast. So you're thinking about getting back into the reviewing game? Was you serious about that?
Yeah, I was absolutely serious. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. Well, obviously I miss reviewing, but I like Phil. I have a niche, right? So my niche is mouth to lung high nicotine vaping. So I didn't want to get back and then start having all these companies send me, all these sub-ohm tanks and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I am going to start a sub channel. Well, it's going to be under my channel, but on a different playlist. It's going to be called Welcome to Podmart. It's basically, like off Walmart, like Welcome to Walmart. So I'm only going to review pod systems. And I think that it's needed. I'll be honest with you. I think it's needed because pod systems, I know as reviewers, you guys, you don't get as many views as the other stuff that is out there. I think that I can bring something to the table because I am a high nicotine vapor. So I can use these pod systems with freebase nicotine, with salt nicotine, and give people my impression, the throat hit, the mouth to lung action, the stuff that you should be looking into a pod system if you're thinking about buying it. So I think I'm going to just start doing, I know I'm going to start doing just reviews on open and closed pod systems out there. And I've got this really nice chart type thing that I've been developing on giving you, the throat hit, what nicotine to use it with and so forth, and how does it perform under each circumstance. So yeah, I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah.
I think that's brilliant, Dimitri. I think that's brilliant. And I think pod manufacturers all over the world are saying right now, oh, we need add Dimitri to pay off.
Yeah.
We get Dimitri PayPal account, send him product.
Man, listen, I think like you guys said earlier, I think that the pod systems do have a space in the market. But I hate is when people go buy a pod system and they put 3 milligram 80% VG and it doesn't work. Well, guess what? If you look at the review, it'll tell you that, hey, you shouldn't be really using 3 milligram 80% VG in this pod system. Don't buy it because you're not going to be satisfied. It's not really the pod system. It's designed to be worked this way and this way and this way. So I think that going that route, I think I can really cater to a specific group of people and smokers as well too that are looking to make the transition.
What's this horse shit that I heard you talk about? You have a chart. You got a chart. You can do charts and graphs now too.
No, I'm not going to do. It's going to be basically like a point system.
Are you going to buy an oscilloscope too? I mean,
no, fuck that.
Are you sure? Okay.
No.
And no. I have another question. If you're going to start doing reviews again, are you going to work on your accent to maybe tone it down a little bit so more people can understand you?
Damn.
Yes, I'm gonna take the Rosetta Stone for English, and then I'm gonna remove my Invisalign when I'm doing reviews so I can speak a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Appreciate. Thanks for the pointers, though, Phil. I appreciate.
Absolutely, buddy. That's what I'm here for.
So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to do it, and I've already like 4 or 5 companies on WeChat have hit me up for some stuff, and I'm excited to get it in and just start giving my opinion. Trying to keep them short, easy. Come inside. I'm thinking about buying this pod system. What liquid should I use with it? And the throat hit, which is I think Phil will tell you as a smoker, throat hit is very, very important. And since I like my throat to be violated, when I'm vaping, I like a thump, But Phil, you cannot violate my throat. You cannot reach down there. But all I'm saying is that I like a thumpy throat hit as well. So I think that when you're reviewing pod systems, that should be a factor into somebody that's a smoker that's looking to get into it. So I like a throat hit chart type thing as well, to like a numbers thing that I'm working on. So yeah, I'm excited.
So basically a throat violation chart is what exactly you're going to do. Okay. That's a great idea. Great idea.
You guys get a throat hit from Nick Salt? Because I don't get a throat hit at all from Nick Salt.
Some do, some don't. Some do, some don't. I'll be honest with you. There's like the Juul, I don't get any throat hit at all. Even with 50 milligram, but the 20 milligram Nick Salt that I got from Silknik gives me a good throat hit.
Wow, you don't get a throat hit off of a Juul?
I don't. No.
Like this, 50 milligram Nick Salt, it goes down so smooth.
You're right. It gives me a head buzz. That's why kids are using it. I mean, they're not using it for the clouds, that's for sure. So it doesn't give me, and that's all into the chemistry of the nicotine as well too. So think about that. All these companies that are releasing Nick Salts out there there is a chemistry to develop a nic salt. I mean, there's a whole process to go through it. I can't speak on the manufacturing practices of where these people get their nic salt. I can't, but I do know that there's a lot of differences between the levels, the consistency of the nicotine salt that is out there. So yeah. I mean, that's a great thing about doing a review on a pod system. I can open a refillable and put a nic salt inside and put a freebase inside and see how each one works and gives you a throat hit. But there are some that do give me, and there's some, the fresh press that I got in, no throat hit at all. 18 milligram, no throat hit at all. It's like I'm vaping 0 milligram.
Yeah, that's my only concern with nic salts is like I'll be vaping a 50 milligram and it's so smooth that I won't realize that I'm puffing on it. Before I know it, I'm breaking out in like a sweat. It's like I just nick myself out.
I think it was like that with the pod system from Kilo.
Yeah, that was so smooth.
Smooth. It was tasteful. Flavors are nice, but
yeah,
we were getting no throat hit.
Yeah.
But then after vaping it for a while, like, whoa, I'm feeling lightheaded here.
Exactly.
From what I understand, the process that's used to make the nic salts can be adjusted, right? Mm-hmm. So you can actually control the amount of throat hit through the process that's created to make the nic salt in the final product.
Yeah, actually, Brian, the Vapor Chronicles, he does a live show on Mondays where they talk. It's a DIY show for liquids. And they did an episode for nic salts. And I guess there's like 2 different types of nic salts. There's one I think called Smooth. And then there's another one, I can't remember the name, but that's the one that you would get the throat hit with. So there's 2 different types. So I guess a lot of companies are doing it the smooth way, and others are doing it where you get the throat hit.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to lie. I've been doing 3 forever. And right around Christmas time, I was at the shop. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try a Juul just for the hell of it. And it just happened. They had this limited edition one. I was like, oh, I gotta get this one anyway. Well, the manager there, which I'm good friends with, he's like, well, try it first, make sure it's something you like. Well, I tried the, I forget what flavor it was, but it was hard on me. So I tried the mango, and the mango was pretty smooth. I said, well, you know what? I'm actually enjoying this. I said, yeah, let me go ahead and get it. But it was scary because, like I said, I've been doing 3 milligram nicotine forever. And to kind of jump up and start messing around with the Juul, it was like, wow, what's going to go on here? Then when I got a drop and actually bought, my own nic salt, started putting it in, still kind of scary, but I'm like, wow, this thing is smooth as hell. I'm really enjoying this. It's not an all-day thing for me. It's just like around the house and whenever, but...
Because a 50 milligram of regular nicotine would probably knock you out, right? I would assume. If you try to drip like 50 milligram.
Oh, I would.
I don't know if it'll knock you out, but it'll definitely. Here's a couple of the drawbacks of if you're gonna vape. So salt nicotine is not meant to be vaped like we vape. That's a problem. If you've been vaping for 8 years, regular freebase nicotine, your pattern. You can't use that same pattern with salt nicotine. So you can get a heavy chest feeling if you're vaping too much salt nicotine. You just feel overwhelmed. It's just the rush of nicotine into your plasma. That's all it is. Don't be afraid. But that used to happen to me when I used 36 milligram in a stick battery. I used to get that heavy, like my chest has water in it. That's kind of exactly the feeling that you get, right? You can get lightheaded. You can, get sweats. You can get headaches. That's the kind of stuff that can happen. So you have to use it. If I pick up my drop that I have salt nicotine inside here, or this little Joytech Eagle, and you see during this broadcast, I picked it up twice. So I'll just take a couple puffs, and that's it. And I'll set it down. I can't vape it like I'm vaping my regular tank. So we have to keep that in mind as well, too, when we're promoting these products. One of the things I'm going to try through the pod systems is, through the reviews, is to tell people, use this as a cigarette. If you're going to use this salt nicotine in it and you're going to get that satisfaction, just basically like a pack of cigarettes, put it in your pocket and then pull it out, use it as a cigarette and put it back in and don't touch it until you need it again. Right. So I think that's your concern, Scott, is valid once you start using that system like you're using your dripper.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a good point. Matt from Suck My Mod did a video on nicotine, and he actually brought that up, that what you're saying, ST, about the nicotine strength. Now, if you're vaping a higher nic, you're not going to vape the way you were vaping a 3 milligram. With a 3 milligram, you're constantly vaping. With the pod, you're just taking a couple of hits, putting it down. So it actually, and the next time you're going to grab a vape will be later on.
Yeah.
So you're getting the same nicotine either way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not chain vaping a pod system, the higher nicks, the way
Right.
you chain vape the 3 milligram.
Here's my concern with that, right? So you have a beginning vapor, you have a beginning smoker, he's coming into it, he gets that pod system, and that pod system has a high nicotine. Okay, so maybe that smoker is going to use it as much as because he's not used to vaping. He's never vaped, right? So he doesn't know that we might walk around and suck on this thing all day long. So that's one user. Now you have the other user. You have the vapor who's going to try salt Nick. And maybe he is satisfied, but he's used to, and I noticed this with myself, right? He's used to vaping a certain way. So he kind of picks it up less than he would ordinarily, but maybe more than he would if he was a smoker. Now, what happens? What's the potential that could happen? The potential that could happen is that your body gets more used to a higher level of nicotine, right? So in a way, you know, I think we know that nicotine isn't the enemy, but are you, and I've said this to people who wanted to send me salt nicotines, could you potentially increase your addiction because you're using this higher nicotine and you're getting used to it? I mean, isn't that a potential?
Definitely.
I do that. That's how I vape all the time. The pod systems, I'll sit there and I'll vape it a lot. I'll even sometimes do a direct lung vape on it just to try to get a throat hit off of it. Then I find myself just overdoing it, and I actually got to put it in my drawer so it's out of sight, or I'll keep doing it.
I mean, your body is titrating is exactly what we're doing. That's the beauty about vaping. Like, we can self-control the intake of nicotine, right? That's the most amazing thing about vaping is that we can control the nicotine, but there's patterns, right? Just like we have smoking patterns when we smoke for all those years, vaping has the same patterns as well too. So once you get into that pattern of 2-3 years of vaping in the way that you're satisfied, whether that's dripping or in an RTA or a replaceable coil, once you get into that pattern, when that pattern is altered with a different chemical substance, then your body it takes it a while to adjust. So you have to change actually the pattern of that intake of nicotine to titrate your body correctly.
Well,
I sound like a chemist there, but that's exactly what's happening. It really is. That's one of the hardest parts to understand for legislators to understand about vaping. It really is.
see, Mark had brought up a good point too, and this was like, I don't know, a few weeks back. He's like, you know, we've been using these pod systems more, and he's like, sometimes I feel more dependent on the pod system than I do the regular old style of vaping now.
Exactly
It's
right.
getting kind of crazy how this is working out. So
listen, nicotine salt is more addictive than freebase. There, I said it. Sue me. It's true. It's true. Nicotine salt is more addictive than regular freebase nicotine. So the more that you use it, the more your body will crave it. Period.
yeah,
It feels. I mean, in the morning sometimes I kind of feel like that because I grab my pod system right when I wake up.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like when you used to smoke, right? Remember the first thing when you woke up, when you used to smoke, you wanted a cigarette and a coffee. It's exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that complete sense of level of a smoking cigarette, but your body adjusts on what you're putting into it, and then it craves it more. And nicotine salt your body will crave it more than regular nicotine. I find it like that with freebase. Like when with freebasing, I could leave the house without a PV. It didn't bother me, right? So the more salt nicotine you might not be able to do that. And listen, it is what it is. It's still less harmful. I don't want to scare anybody. Right?
yeah.
It's definitely less harmful than combusting a cigarette and intaking it. But people should know the risks, okay? Because this is all about risk reduction. So you have to know the risks and how your body might be able to react. So it's really good for us to educate people and let them know exactly what could possibly happen.
Exactly. Well, folks, we have hit that hour mark. Quickly, I want to say thank you to Phil and Dimitris for coming on today, and the panel as always. Gotta love them.
Hey, did we really hit the hour mark? Or, I mean, it took so long to get the show started. I think we only hit like the 15-minute mark, didn't we?
Well, actually, technically, we've gone past the hour mark, but I wasn't
Okay,
going to say
all right.
anything. We did give them a few extra on it, but
Okay.
I do apologize for the screw up at first. Somehow, I've got to say this was probably Phil's fault, and we'll just leave it at that. So,
Hey, speaking of Phil's fault, I have some really, really horrible news about NVE. Really, really terrible news. So, yeah, I mean, Dimitri knows this, Scott knows this, but I have been battling a diverticulitis attack. Okay, anybody who knows what that's like knows it sucks, right? So I'm actually in a fair amount of pain right now. But so I'm on these 2 antibiotics, and the doctor told me that the one antibiotic I absolutely, without a doubt, cannot drink while taking that pill. So I'm not going to be able to drink at all at NVE, or the doctor told me I will throw up all over myself. Now I've done that in the past without the antibiotic, that very easily. But so yeah, I mean it's kind of unfortunate. I'm disappointed about that. So that is the very, very bad news about NVE.
I'll be
Sorry.
drinking for you though.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
He'll
So
forget all
hopefully
this
this
by
will be-
Friday. As soon as you show him some Jack Daniels, he'll be over. Don't worry. All that's gonna go away. I do. Can I just say something really serious?
Yes,
Because
sir.
we didn't say anything really serious this week. So, all joking aside, if we don't do something, we're all gonna be vaping on pod systems 2 years from now because the shit's kind of hitting the fan. So there is some movement this week. They were voting on the agricultural bill in our wonderful federal government. And there is a push to get Cold Bishop Amendment passed. Okay, so we have a lot of lobbyists out there. We have 10 strategic teams that are working with various senators trying to include the language of Cold Bishop on there. And whether you're for or against Cold Bishop, I'm not going to argue that now or debate that. I'm not here to take sides. What I'm here to tell you is that it's the only legislative session that has any legs right now to move the predicate date to do August 8th of 2016. And for small businesses, it is the most vital thing. It's the only thing that's going to keep it in business past this extension. So if you're going to do one thing today, I'm going to put the link in. I don't know if I can put the link on YouTube. Can I? Let me see if I do that.
Hold on.
Nope. Nope.
Hold on. Type something in there real quick, and I'll do this. I'll make you a moderator where you can.
Test. Okay, let me just do that. Oops, what happened there? Test. I'm going to do that. I'm going to put the link on there. Just click it. It's very, very, very simple. Just click that link, and all we're asking for is to tell your senator to put pressure on Speaker Paul Ryan to keep the language for Cold Bishop into the negotiation. Now,
you're good. There you go.
This is happening this week. Like as we're doing this show, there's negotiation between Democrats and Republicans, just to kind of give you what's happening. So they're trying to pass a budget for the next 2 years. So everybody, the Democrats are saying, well, we want this in the budget. The Republicans are saying we want this in the budget, right? So in order for Cold Bishop to continue, we have to get agreement from both sides of the aisle that this should remain in there. Now, a lot of Democrats are against us. A lot of Republicans are for us. So the only way that we can do this is when they negotiate and they say, well, you give us this and then we'll give you Cold Bishop. In order to do that, we have to put pressure on our elected officials to say, we really need this in there. Moving the predicate date, guys, is the most important thing that we can do for this vaping industry, unless you want to keep vaping on pods when all this shit goes away in a couple of years. So that's my little serious.
That link ain't working. I'm clicking on it. It says, oops, 500 error.
Oh, shit. Hold on. Maybe I got the wrong one. Well, it's working for me. I don't know why. It should just open up a page. Here, let me put it in here. Maybe
yeah,
it's...
people in the chat are saying they're getting the error 500.
Okay, well, why is it working for me?
Oh, don't put it in Zoom. Don't put it in Zoom. Or we'll have crazy shit going on the screen.
Wow, why is it working for me?
Ladies and gentlemen, another Dimitri Agrafiotis production.
Actually, you know what? I had the same issue. YouTube doesn't allow you to share certain things.
Oh, you know what? That is true. That is
Hold
true.
on. Here, I got another one. I got another link that you can put. This is from Kassan. Maybe this will work. See if that works up. And it just opens you up. It's just an automated system where you put your name, your telephone number, your address, and it automatically sends the information to the senators in your state, asking them, this is 753 in the agricultural bill. This is where the section is. And all we're asking is that we want to keep that language in there. This is the last minute push. If this is not passed this time, it's done. We started with 2058. It didn't work. We started with 1136. It didn't work. Cold Bishop Amendment last year, we were very, very close. It didn't pass. This is our last chance. If it doesn't work now, in my famous trademark words, we're fucked. So
there you go.
That's my 2 cents of seriousness for today.
There you go. Someone just said just copy and paste the link.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There you go.
Well, if you are in the Foxwoods area, you need to come to the show. Everybody and their mama's going to be there. And used to be, I could sit here and name some of the names, but there's so many people going to be there, I'm not even going to attempt to do it. I'm certain there's going to be a ton of videos floating and live feeds from that event. So definitely going to be a good time. So come out and join everybody. So again, thank you to Phil and Dimitri for coming on. And we are going to get the hell out of here if I can get this shit cut off.
When is Phil and Dimitri's show on Monday, right?
Next Tuesday nights.
Tuesday.
It's bi-weekly, Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, the Smoker Show, and then every other Tuesday, the Smoke Free Radio.
It's actually Tuesday night at 9:15 by the time Dimitri works out.
And that's the Smoker Show, right?
Smoker Show. Yeah, bring a smoker, save a life.
Hey, real quick. Well, no. We'll do that next time around. It is an awesome show. Definitely go check that out. That's on Phil's channel, correct?
Correct.
All right. So we're out of here. Y'all have a good day. We will hopefully see you this weekend. We're out of here. Peace.
Bye.
See ya.